wait, I'm meditating and preparing my answers for the questions for Ask Your Father. Okay, let's see the question. Ask your father, why do priests take our suffering and pain with them and then do a penance? Why do priests take our suffering and pain with them and then do a penance? I think if the question is framed correctly, the question is talking about the sacrament of reconciliation, I believe. So in the sacrament of reconciliation, which is confession, priest is acting in persona Christi. As the sacrament is being celebrated, the priest who listens to a person's confession is the channel, the instrument of God's grace. So the fact that he's able to listen to one's confession, he's taking as the one who is being given that grace of ordination and is becoming an exchange between God's mercy and the one who is confessing sins, between the penitent and the source of God and his mercy. So in other words, one might feel that the priest is literally taking all the burden of sin, but it is God who is listening to a person's true confession with authentic contrition, inviting for genuine conversion. And the penance that the priest gives to a person after the confession is ending is for the person to embrace a newer path. It is not to be treated as a burden. The penance that the priest gives to a penitent at the end of confession is for embracing a newer path so that he or she is able to welcome the grace of God acting in one's life, so that through the works of penance, either through reading something or praying something or engaging in acts of charity, we're able to once again adjust, tune ourselves to where God is calling. So the priest might be viewed as the one taking burden, but it's actually God who is waiting for our return when we truly confess. And the penance is for us to exercise prudence and wisdom and respond accordingly to God's grace of forgiveness and mercy. The question goes, if all sins are equal in God's eyes, why are some mortal? First of all, each sin is distinct. There is the degree that varies from a venial sin to a mortal sin. This question again needs some reframing of itself. The person intends, if everybody is a sinner in God's eyes, and we all sin, and we are all sinners to begin with, why are some mortal? Now, a mortal sin of stealing or committing a crime of killing somebody is definitely more intense, demands more contrition than like taking your siblings' candy or a pencil. So the degree of sin is what demands our authentic contrition. Now, we have in the Christian tradition, Catholic Christian tradition, there are 7 deadly sins, 7 mortal sins. Of all those, pride is the topmost. Now, these sins need authentic and intentional conversion. Only when a person is able to address them as mortal sins, God's grace is given accordingly to the person's confession. Now, each sin is a sin itself. Now, the classification of being venial or mortal is depending on the amount of damage done to one's soul or caused to another person in the act of sinning. So while we're all sinners and we accept that in true humility before God, some sins need or demand deeper conversion, embracing of newer path with authentic contrition and conversion.